Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1442. The topic is mindset, and the title is, What's Your Grade? So I had a friend and a podcast listener send me a pretty neat post that they thought would make a good podcast, and I think so as well. I guess we're all going to find out. So what the post is people want an A-plus body, but their report card looks like this. And it says sleep is like a D+, nutrition C-, training is a B+, hydration C-, stress management D-, supplements B+. So they're blasting the supplements, they're blasting the training, but they're kind of doing crap on sleep and crap on stress management and so-so on nutrition and so-so on hydration. That's actually pretty common. So it goes on to say, if you want an A+ body, you need an A+ report card. So I thought this was a pretty cool kind of idea. So what I did whenever they sent it to me is I kind of went through and thought for myself, like, what grade would I get? What's my grade? So that's why the title, hence, is What's Your Grade? So what I figured was, like, in school, you have multiple subjects, and then there's, like, an overall, like, GPA. So I looked through the categories, considered what I was doing well within each category and what I could improve upon. So I thought it'd be fun to share what, like, my grades were. Now, I didn't do minuses and pluses. I kind of did a normal scale of, like, A is 4 points, B is 3 points, C is 2 points, D is 1 point, and an F is 0. Which would mean like the highest possible score is 24 points. So you have 6 categories: sleep, nutrition, training, hydration, stress management, and supplements. So you have 6 categories, total of possible 4 points per category. So there you go, it's 24 total points. So what I went through and I kind of looked at for myself, and I decided to pair a podcast with each category. So if you find yourself struggling in one of these categories, you can listen to the paired podcast, and hopefully that'll help. So the first one, and I just go in the order the post had, was sleep. I don't do horribly with sleep, but I also don't do great with sleep. So I have a very bad habit of, when I am behind in work, I forego sleep. I try my best to balance all the things there are in the world, as we all do, but there are priorities that I have decided on in my life. I want to put God and my wife first, put, kind of like my mom, my dad, my brother, put them as kind of like the next step down. Sorry, that's just, sorry about that. Maybe that too honest, I guess. But, God and my wife are first. I guess I kind of put myself in there somewhere. I don't know. I'm somewhere in that mix. But then there's also my work, which I love my work, and my work is with people. So what I do directly influences other people's lives. So that's extremely meaningful for me. So it's really hard to create like any kind of like differential between like my top things. But one of the things that I do that, I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't know what you're supposed to do. This is the only time I've ever been alive. So I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. But I don't want to give up, time with God. I don't want to give up time with my wife. I want to balance as much time with my family and with maximizing business as I can. And if sleep means, in order to get sleep, I'd have to not share time with my wife. I'd rather share the time with my wife. In order to get sleep, if I had to not do my work and miss doing check-ins or miss any programs to people, I don't want to do that because I don't feel good about that. People trust me to be part of their life, and I want to honor that as much as possible. So sleep is something that I do unfortunately give up when I feel the pressure to do so. Now, I have had to develop a rule for myself to not give up sleep on back-to-back nights. So in general, I would say every week I might get one night of 8 hours of sleep, maybe like Sunday morning. I'll usually get one night, maybe I only get 3 or 4 hours because I have to jam a bunch of work in and kind of catch up on things. And then the rest of the nights are around 6 to 7 hours. So that is not what, general recommendation would say is like the best. You should be getting like 7 to 8 hours all the time. Never those 3 to 4 hour nights, but sometimes, that's what you got to do, or at least that's the way that I decide to do it. So I give myself a C. Could I be doing better in sleep? Sure, but at this moment, I don't know how to better manage everything else I want to do and keep as a higher priority above sleep. So that's the way I'm doing that. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but I'm trying my best. So I give myself a C. If you do have struggle with sleep, one of the things I have learned to do is if I know I'm only going to get, say, 6 hours, how can I maximize the quality of the 6 hours? Now, my wife and I, we have black light, what the heck are the drapes? There you go. Can't remember that word. But we have like black light drapes where they absolutely completely shut out all light in our room. We also keep our room pretty cool, which helps with sleep quality. I always sleep with some kind of covering over my body because that way it desensitizes the skin. So there's a lot of like little nuances you can do. We pull away from blue light screens before we go to bed. I don't eat or drink within the last say 30 to 60 minutes before bed, so I don't have digestion, going on. I really do try my best to get the best quality of sleep, even if I don't get a lot of sleep. Podcast 1149 is a mindset podcast titled Creating a Healthier Sleep Pattern. And that would be a really good one to listen to if you're kind of in the same boat as me, where you can't really get more sleep, but you can get better sleep. So that's what I'd hope you listen to. So if you don't have a great grade on sleep, you can listen to that podcast and kind of bump your grade up. Now, the next thing I have is nutrition. I give myself a B here. I have been like A+++ before. I have done, crazy diets over the years. Good Lord. Where everything was perfect. Didn't miss a damn thing. I drank a gallon of milk every day for 2 years one time because I thought it would help me get bigger muscles. It just made me fat because there's too much sugar in milk for the size I was at that time. But I didn't miss a single day in 2 years. I drank a gallon of milk every single day for 2 years. I've done diets where I've lost 50 pounds in 8 weeks or less. 10 weeks or less. One time I did it in 8 weeks. I lost 50 pounds in 8 weeks. I did a 10-month diet one time where I paired it together with eating 2.5 pounds of chicken every day. Horrible. Don't do that. I wanted to experiment with a high-protein diet. So actually, I had 40% of my diet as protein. Horrendous. Don't do that either. So a lot of dieting things. But right now in life, I am balancing sharing and living life with my wife, being as advancing business as much as I can. I know my calories every day, and I'm pretty damn consistent at hitting them. I'm very consistent at hitting my protein. I don't usually miss those. I really never miss my calories and my protein. Every once in a while, I might eat something that digests at a different rate than what I want it to. So if I only have like carbs available and I know I have like a 5-hour gap between meals, quick digesting carbs is not the best choice for a 5-hour gap. So I might also just be screwed in this category because I realize now that in order for me to give myself an A, I don't know what the hell that would have to be. But I do give myself a B because I know there are things that I could be doing a little better. So they might be very nuanced compared to other people, but they are still things that I know I could improve upon. So I'll give myself a B there. Now, a good podcast, if you want to learn kind of what are the most important things in nutrition, and once you have those crossed off, what do you look at next, is podcast 1232. It's a nutrition podcast titled Start Here. We talk about that all the time. By the way, if you have trouble finding any of these older podcasts, you can just Google search Podbean Brutal Iron Gym. It'll take you to our homepage for Podbean Brutal Iron Gym. And then on the right side of the page, in the middle of the page, is a search function. We're actually working on updating our website, and that will actually have a searchable database for podcasts, which is going to be super freaking exciting. So if you're also excited about that idea, just let me know. Say, hey, I think that's a great idea. And that'll motivate me to get my butt moving faster on that. But so that'll be cool when we have that. So you can go to Podbean Brutal Iron Gym on Google, and then there's your search function. The next thing we have is training. I give myself a B here because I train about every day of the week. Maybe some weeks I might miss a day. If we have a crazy week, I might miss 2 days. But I train 5+ days a week all the time. Sometimes that's just bodyweight squats and push-ups at home. We actually have a cable stack, like a functional cable column from Sorinex in our house. We have a Bowflex as well for my wife, which is like a Bowflex, like elliptical thing that works really well for your glutes because it's more of a vertical cyclical pattern rather than a horizontal pattern, so it gets a lot more glute activation. We also have power block dumbbells, sliders, wedges, a whole bunch of stuff. I've drilled holes into the framework of our closet to put in like a roll pad for Bulgarian split squats. I mean, we have what we need at home, so I get some good workouts at home when I need. Now, why would I only give myself a B? Because same thing is I could, on days where I stay at home and train at home, since I only live 8 minutes away from my gym, could I have gone to the gym and maybe done a heavier, more complex workout? Sure. But again, that's like on weekends, I don't want to take time away from my wife. If she's doing computer work and that's what she wants to do with her day, then I don't want to miss that time with her because we already miss enough time during the week. So I just work out at home. And that's a choice that I'm making, and I am very content and very happy with that choice. So I can see improvements in my physique. I've gotten leaner and bigger this whole year. So I've held around 284 to 85 pounds this whole year, and I've gotten significantly leaner. I can see it in my abs and shirt off at home. So I'm very content, very happy with the progress I'm making in the fact that it's also balanced with my other priorities. So I give myself a B because I know I can make improvements, but it's pretty good B. So a good podcast for this is podcast 1333. It's a training podcast titled The Importance of Exercise Specificity. And what that one is, it kind of talks about like how you start with anything, and then eventually as you progress, you do have to get more specific. But that kind of tells you step by step kind of what your focus should be with training. Now, we have the fourth category is hydration. Hydration, A. I give myself an A on this. I drink fluids all damn day. I am always carrying something around with me that is liquid. I drink a lot of fluid. No issues there. I feel like it's better. It helps you with energy, helps you with digestion, helps you with appetite control. I mean, it's just universally all around a great thing. So I do give myself an A there because there's really nowhere I can improve on that. Yay for me. But I do work with a lot of people where hydration is an F. It'd be gracious to give them a D. So they might drink maybe, oh my gosh, I don't even know. It would be amazing if they were to get even like a liter of water a day. And that would be surprising to me for these people. That would be like a big goal for them. Some people just don't drink a lot. And you don't recognize that it's really messing up your digestion. It's really messing up your daily energy. It's really going to cause water retention and like kind of lower quality of body composition. So for the amount of calories you do eat, you're not going to look good. You're not going to feel good as if you were to hydrate yourself. So hydration is extremely important. We have podcast number 261. It's a nutrition podcast titled Importance of Hydration on Health, Energy, and Performance. Really good podcast. So, what's your grade so far? Have you actually paid attention to this or written this down? So we had sleep. What would you give yourself as a grade? Nutrition, training, hydration. So now we move on to the next category is stress management. I do very well with stress management. And a lot of it is just thanks to God for the temperament that I've been born with. But what stress I do feel, I am able to manage it relatively well. I'm very blessed in that. Very, very, very blessed. So I don't take that for granted. But when I do get stressed, I know the steps that it takes for me to get back on track. And I just jump on them the second I feel like my stress levels are getting too high. So I do very well with stress management, and I've had to learn that over the years just because I could tell that stress was negatively impacting me when I was younger. You don't act the way you want to act. You're kind of flustered, so you might say things you don't really want to say, and you can't take them back once they leave your mouth. So you got to get on top of that. And then just being able to grow the business, grow myself as a human being. Stress management has been absolutely vital, 1,000,000% important in that process. So if you are struggling with stress management, podcast 1023 is a mindset podcast titled Stress Management. options, and priorities. So that'll be a really good one to check out. One of the best things ever for me was identifying my priorities, knowing what means the most to me in life, and then if anything were to ever possibly conflict with each other, I know what the higher ranking thing is. So I just, boom, go right to that. And got to deal with, if you have two good things and you have to pick the better out of the two good things, you just have to deal with the guilt of hurting somebody if they weren't the top priority, or the guilt or the kind of whatever the proper word is, if you missed out on a good thing, but you did something that was better, you just have to deal with that. And that is something that when you have a priority list, it lets you say, hey, I already know what my best decision is before I ever even get to them. I already know what decision I'm going to make. And that's so freeing. So freeing. I cannot express how much that freedom feels. So definitely listen to that podcast. The last one we have is supplements. Supplements, I give myself a D. I do not do well with supplements. I do believe supplements are important when they are necessary for whatever your goals are. So if somebody lifts super heavy, they're a powerlifter, strength-based athlete like strongman, stuff like that, a joint supplement would be a damn good idea, and you should take one. I like Animal Flex. Universal Nutrition is the company that makes that. Great supplement. I have my mother take that. I have my wife take that. I take that when I remember to. So I don't do a good job with that. But if I, do feel like something's achy or annoyed, I'll start to take that for a good 2 weeks or so. Then usually it's gone, and then I usually forget again. So I need to get better at that. I do take a multi-daily vitamin when I remember to. I take vitamin D3 when I remember to. I might take my supplements 3 to 5 days a week. I don't do a great job of being consistent with them. I don't really take any other supplements, but there are digestive aids that are very helpful for people. If they need to address or reduce bloat, or gas, that's very helpful as well. So there are a lot of supplements that are individual specific. For myself, I don't really need a lot. Whether that's the combination of the hydration, the training frequency, the nutrition, the decent-ish sleep, not the best. I just get lucky with not needing a lot of supplements. But the ones I do take when I take them is a multivitamin, vitamin D3, and a joint supplement. So those are kind of my favorite ones. Okay, podcast 1384 is a nutrition podcast, and it's titled My Most Recommended Supplements. We go through a bunch of different supplements in that one. So if you're kind of low on supplements or you're not sure how to do better with supplements, how could you get an A? How could you make that better? Podcast 1384 will help towards that. Okay, so those are our 6 categories. Give yourself the grades, write them down, think them through in your head. Remember, an A is 4 points, B is 3 points, C is 2 points, D is 1 point, and an F is 0. The highest possible score would be 24. So add up your number, whatever that is, divide it by 24. So you're probably going to need a calculator for that. Then whatever the number is, move the decimal point over 2 places, and that's your percentage. So I scored a 17 out of 24. That is a 70%, and that is awful. So for me, that was awful. I was very lucky and very blessed that I got a really good GPA through high school and college. I didn't struggle too much. So a 70 is kicking the pants. So I definitely got to work on that. That's, if somebody would have asked me what my score was, I'd have probably told you, it's probably somewhere in the 80s. And that's, the beauty of us wanting to believe better things about ourselves. So I would have thought it was better, but it's not. So I got to work on that. Now, what is a realistic score? I thought it would be kind of interesting to kind of look through and decide what would be realistic. So I would say that getting an A across the board, an A in all categories, it is possible, sure. But it is increasingly less possible if you want to sustain that over time. So can I do an A across the board for a week? Sure. Can I do it for a month? Probably. Can I do it for a year? Yeah, probably not. And especially given the fact that we have to balance other grades that we're not talking about, such as relationships, finances, work performance, all those kind of things. So when you look across all the grades that you would have to give yourself, all the things you're trying to balance, getting an A across the board is absolutely not realistic in a sustained lifestyle approach. So I'd say if you can score a B average, then you're doing probably pretty damn well. So this would be my grading scale, is if you're greater than or equal to 18 out of 24, you are kicking ass. You are doing great in life. Congratulations. Can you still get better? Sure. But don't beat yourself up over trying to do so, but you can still try to get a little better in the areas if you think you can. If you have a score of like, say, 16, 17, 18, I'd say you're doing well. Keep up the good grades, whichever ones you're doing well at, do continue those. But find the one or two that you think you might be a little bit low at and see if there's something you can improve upon. So for myself, my lowest grade was supplements. Can I put a reminder on my phone, put my supplements right next to my toothbrush? Should I do all those things? Yes. Will I? Annoyingly to myself, yes, because I know I can do it. So now I'm annoyed that I'm not doing it, so I'm going to go do it. But that is something I would look at to try to improve upon. My next grade was sleep, was C grade. Can I improve that? Possibly. I would have to look at just more energy management and resource management throughout the day to try to get myself less and less and less stuff that I feel like I have to stay up super late someday for. So it's possible for sure. Just continuing to refine that, which I always do anyhow. So those are kind of my areas that I would look at. So if you have a score of less than 16, you're hanging in there, okay? You're doing good. Life has seasons, and you might be in a rough one. So just think of whatever your lowest grade is, listen to the podcast that was associated with that, and see if there's one thing you can do over the next 2 weeks to try to bring that grade up. Once you feel like you're consistent, like you can do it, say, 4 to 5 out of 7 days, whatever that adjustment is. If you feel like that's a new norm for you, and you can maintain that for 4 to 5 out of 7 days a week, whatever that little habit is, then you can choose the next lowest grade and try to repeat the process. So I would say if you're around 16 to 18, you're doing great. If you're over 18, enjoy it. If you drop down a little bit in some crazy season of life, don't beat yourself up. Just, see what's dropping off, see what you can do, and just kind of work through that. So I hope that you got a good grade. And I thought this was kind of fun, so thank you to the listener who sent this in. Listen to the podcast for any of the categories you think you might want to know more about, and then also feel free to reach out. So I didn't think of this until right now, but the person who's getting a 70% says, reach out to me and I'll help. I do know all of these things, even if I don't do them, but I can definitely help you with educating on what your priority lists are, how to balance these categories with the life that you want to live and the balance you want to have. So if you do want help, just reach out or email us brutalirongym@gmail.com. Great. Well, I hope this podcast was fun and interesting. Hope you learned something from it. So if you do like our podcast in general or this one, please consider sharing it. The more people we share the podcast with, the more people we can help. That's the whole point of the podcast, is just help as many people as we can. So thank you to those who do share the podcast. Thank you to the patrons of the podcast, people who financially support the podcast through donations. The podcast is well over $1,000 a year for hosting costs. I give an hour to it every day, and I want to keep it for free. So thank you to those who've sent in positive affirmations and kind of letting me know that you like the podcast and that it is helpful for you. That's super awesome, super motivating, and I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to reach out and the kindness of your words. So thank you very much. If you do want to donate to help the podcast, you can do so at our website, www.brutalirongym.com. There's an option for a one-time donation, monthly donation, yearly donation. The podcast, it's going to stay alive as long as I can afford to. But the donations help a lot. So even just $5 a month goes a long way. Thank you. If you like the information we share on our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, let us know at our email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.